What would you say to those who are saying, okay, process theology it's a little bit beyond?
Well, then I think criticism can be leveled against any theological position or any theology. We all are theologians. It often surprises folks when I'm teaching a class at church, when I say to the folks, we're all theologians, because virtually everyone says, well, that's way above my pay grade. I don't think theological thoughts during the course of the day. I don't talk about the nature of God or angels, and don't talk about whether God is all powerful or God permits freedom or freedom is at the heart of the world's nature. The fact of the matter is that people make choices based on their theologies, that everyone has an inner lens. I was asked recently about why young people, and this is according to a Pew Center report, are leaving the church and no longer believe in the Old Testament God. And I'm pondering that question. And one of the reasons I think they don't believe in the Old Testament God is that it's been articulated to them, or the Christian vision or biblical vision of God has been articulated in them in ways that make God seem angry, vindictive, and antagonistic to human freedom and creativity. And that very theological position that they've heard, even though they merely heard it in Sunday school, changes their relationship to the church. I've found that theology is very practical throughout the course of a lifetime. Go to a hospital and somebody will talk to you about whether or not their illness is God's will. They'll talk about whether an accident occurred because God chose that particular intersection for this action to occur. In terms of national policy, certainly the whole notion of following God's bidding has led to terrorist activities and bombing of abortion clinics. And so I think theology is rather practical. The challenge, Henry, is making it accessible in a way that people can understand it. Now, I'm fortunate that I've spent almost 40 years with one foot in the classroom and the study and one foot in the pulpit and doing pastoral care. And that's forced me to make theology accessible to everyday people. And it's also forced me to express theological viewpoints in ways that folks can understand to change their lives. I think the question of the accessibility is oftentimes the question of transmission. Can you speak important truths in everyday language? Can you speak important truths in ways that are based upon what we experience, the choices we have, our attitude toward people of other religious traditions, our attitude toward strangers and immigrants? All these, interestingly enough, have a good deal of theological background to them. It just isn't stated as such. So I think theology can be made accessible, and I think one of my aims, maybe the most important aim in the Energeion books, is, in fact, to talk about process theology, which is difficult in terms of some of its technical language, in ways that can be understood by somebody who's willing to wrestle a bit and somebody who looks at it and says, yeah, that's the way the world looks to me, that the world is open-ended, that we can make a difference, that we exist in terms of our relationships toward other people, that God isn't distant from us, but is moving right within our world alongside us. These are accessible in the same way that the Christmas story, God is with us in the simplicity of life, is also accessible.